What I've always appreciated about Pep's event was how intentional the events were organized, where it wasn't over-indexed on sponsorships. It wasn't about shoving a product pitch down people's throats.
A good 20-minute conversation with somebody builds enough relationship that you can milk that for years. What if events were all about that?
You were talking about yesterday how people want to buy from the mascots.
So a POV on like the future of B2B marketing. Software companies and also agencies, are trying to compete on features or like objective differentiate. We are better because XYZ. And in every large category, actually all the competitors are basically the same. Companies, I think, need to figure out either you hire a talent that you're going to put on, the higher talent might also leave and take the cloud to the next
That's
company.
The whole problem, right? If you invest all this money into a talent, they leave. That's why a lot of people do the founder, because they're probably not going to leave you unless they get negative.
Founders are most likely to stay, absolutely, yeah.
Special guest on episode 5 of the EventShark TV Podcast. We are still figuring out what name we are going to call this, but we're talking all things LinkedIn, all things B2B content. We're here with Peep Laja, just an OG entrepreneur from Estonia, and Ding is going to point out where Estonia is on the map. Do you know where that is, Ding?
I do know where it is.
Where is it at?
It's like Northern Europe, Eastern Europe, like kind of on that tip right there.
What's one country that is
that borders it?
That borders it.
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I would need to see a map.
Where's the border?
The northern neighbor is Finland. There's a little bay in between. Southern neighbor Latvia, West Sweden, East Russia.
Okay. And when did you come to the U.S.?
2008. So almost 20 years.
Okay. Wow. So Pep's had a couple different businesses. Are you on your third business or is your fourth business with Wynter?
Well, 3 are still active and kicking ass. I've had multiple in the past, some failed SaaS companies, some agencies that I've killed. But yeah, currently Wynter I'm active CEO of Wynter. And then there's also CXL, which is like an online course platform for marketers. And Spiro, which is an agency for experimentation program management for large enterprises.
So Pep, it's you've done and succeeded at a couple of different varieties of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like what are some things you like and dislike about each model?
Well, agency model is the shittiest for sure. Margins are crap, people heavy. The only way you can grow is by hiring more people. More people, more problems. Stalin was right. However, it is the easiest business to start, right? All you need is a laptop and you need to know some shit. In hindsight, I wish I would have straight gone to SaaS or something, some more scalable model, but hindsight is 2020. And then CXL is an e-learning business. And e-learning is also a shitty business model because the time to value is huge. So for somebody to get value out of your thing is like, they need to, buy it, then log in, spend time going through the content, then spend time executing on what they learned, and then there's a result. It's like months, and most people never get to the execute. They don't even go through the content, Yeah. And so it's very slow. There's no defensible moat in e-learning. Everybody can get the same instructors. So it's very cutthroat competition, and now the barrier of entry is zero, and now, of course, AI is coming in. All these content companies, e-learning businesses that are creating content are getting disrupted by AI. Because 3 to 5 years from now, how e-learning is like we log into ChatGPT or one of those Gemini, and we say, hey, I have 45 minutes, quiz my Google Analytics knowledge, then create a course on the fly to fill my gaps, and videos and screenshots, and I want Scarlett Johansson to be the face that's teaching me. Yep. And try competing with that with the old way, like book a room, camera, like, okay, say your name to the camera, it's done. So like this how-to 1 to 3 way of educating people, it's toast.
Yeah. Not
today, but 3 years from now. So today everybody needs to pivot. Reforge is already trying to become a software company with their product analytics stuff. I know digital marketer is hammering money, and
we were listening to some of your old podcasts before you hopped on, and it was talking about how it took a second for CXL to even get rolling, where you hired a team, and then it took a second for it to be. That was like a learning that you said on your podcast. Was it took longer than expected to actually get rolling? And how long did it take until it actually was something where you guys?
Well, we reached break even within the first year.
Okay.
And that was the break even I reached like 1 month before letting everybody go. You know, because like I had budgeted a certain amount of money and my agency was actually paying the bills. But also agency needed to pay their own bill. You know, made it work, and then it's been growing. Started it in 2016, so it's been growing, and it's, you know, e-learning has great margins in the old way of when you filmed courses and, you know, you sold them. I don't know in the future. I think it's gonna be, you have to think like how can you teach in a way that AI can't disrupt it, which is then, you know, more community focused. You know, like we're all in this together trying to figure something out, and then it's like expert feedback on your stuff and accountability and things like that maybe AI can't do soon.
You got into doing events. I know Ding has gone to your CXL events, very raving reviews, and Spring now as well with Wynter. Something that me and Ding talk about is how events can never be replaced by AI because it's in person, right? So maybe Ding, just tell us a little bit about Pep's event and your experience real quick, and then I want to hear kind of his viewpoint on just throwing the events and something, because it's not something you've always been doing. It's something that's kind of a newer adventure.
Yeah, so events, man, you know, sales rapper, I've been to a lot of events, just about every B2B event I've been to, but CXL in 22 and Spring in 24 always really stood out in my mind, because I think it's about intentionality with events. I think a lot of people in the space, they think event marketing, field marketing, in person as like, let's go be an exhibitor somewhere, or let's just throw an event and we'll have people there and that's it. That's kind of where the buck stops. But what I've always appreciated about Pep's event was how intentional the events were organized, where it wasn't over-indexed on sponsorships. It wasn't about just shoving a product pitch down people's throats. One of my favorite pieces is the moderated conversations, right? Where you know, you had people break out round tables, you know, leading a specific topic, focus around like a specific area of expertise. I think what that allows for is, you know, a lot of people complain about, they go to conferences and they feel like, you know, it's 48 hours of getting their badge scanned and then a month of SDR outreach after the fact, right? And there's less meaningful human connection. A lot of the meaningful connection that people always talk about is, at happy hour at night, you know, that was the real time where we get a bond. So it's very rare when I see an in-person event where you're building those connections, having meaningful conversations during the day as well. And Pep, you do a great job, you know, choosing the venues for your events and having the happy hours as well, but you're also bringing the value in a more focused business conversation during the day, which I've always appreciated.
Yeah, I've been a natural event organizer in my private life, like hosting dinners and shit like that. And then I started organizing like business events starting from 2007-8. Back in those years, my job was I made a living doing day-long workshops, teaching people stuff, and then in the evening party. And then that's when I like realized, holy shit, people really want to stay and party and drinks and, you know, talk to each other about, you know, what they've learned and bond. And then in like 2009, I started throwing like real conferences with multi-day conferences. And I had this vision, like everybody does their conferences in like city hotels. What if I did it like in the boonies, outside of a city? I need to bus people there. Like you can't get there, although you can drive. And so I started doing this. I rented a whole hotel, and everybody stayed the night there. And nobody at the hotel was, you know, everybody was a conference attendee, and that created magic. You know, party until 4 a.m. and you know. And then in 2014, that model was in Estonia. In 2014, I brought this model to Austin, and so I started booking big ass resorts, like 5-star resorts outside of town, like Horseshoe Bay, and there's a Hyatt by the airport, expensive places, you know, like expensive meaning that I had to book out the whole venue for 2 nights, $500,000, you know, and you need to commit these funds a year in advance without selling a single ticket. And you don't know if you're able to sell it out. Otherwise, it's like, hey, like anybody want to get married? I have the whole hotel, big ass wedding here. And so I did those events, 2014 until 2020. And 2020 was same thing. I think 600,000 was the budget, and then speakers start canceling one after another. It's like, this virus is going on. I don't know. I don't want to travel, man. And, sure enough, COVID, I luckily got my money back because force majeure and blah, blah, blah. But since that time, I haven't had the appetite to take such risk with the events where I book year in advance that I don't know if I'm going to sell out. Stressful times.
Yeah, some sleepless nights.
And also what COVID years taught us in terms of events, because everything switched virtual. Virtual events were all the rage for a minute. You don't need to travel to get content. And so then why are we doing events about content? Because also most speakers deliver the same talk, 20 times, 30 times. And some events record those talks and they end up on YouTube anyway. Why pay $1,000 for content? It makes no fucking sense. So what you can't get online is the FaceTime with people. Because, you guys have experienced that. A good 20-minute conversation with somebody builds enough relationship that you can milk that for years.
Yep.
Builds a foundation. And then when you follow up online, you know the person, know. And so what if events were all about that? And so that's been guiding me in this recent years. So make it about people hanging out. And content is kind of there as an excuse to buy a ticket.
Yeah, just going to South by events, half the speaking sessions, I went to one of the speaking sessions from a YouTuber, and it's I already know, they've already talked about all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's already there, but instead you're getting more value just going to the parties and talking to people and networking. And that's, really appreciate you kind of doing that. And then also force people to talk with the group discussion. So maybe and there's also alcohol, so there's some social lubricant for people that maybe are need a little extra boost, but I think that was one thing that was definitely great.
And there's something to say about people's seniority level. So if you're new to an industry, year one as a marketer in SaaS, you know nothing. Yeah. You want content, right? You want to educate. The AdWords, PPC tactics, and whatever. How do you build a great landing page? You need that content. If you're a VP level, 20-year experience, you already know all the tactics. So you want to know other stuff, and you want to talk about the nuance, that kind of stuff. And that is the real conversation with your peers. Yep. Hey, what are you doing about that? How are you acquiring customers? Blah, 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 blah. So it's a back and forth. And so that is the format of Spring, where I'm grouping people with similar experience, similar seniority. We're all VPs or all CMOs. Similar size companies, we're all 50 mil or 5 mil or whatever. So same stage. So we have similar problems. Otherwise, if it's hey, I'm a rookie, one-person company, and I run a 10,000-person company, you have nothing in common, right? There's no conversation there, other than you can talk about sports or life. But business-wise, so matching people is extremely important.
No, I like the curation of that piece. I think most viewers will have had an experience where they're stuck in a room, engaged in a conversation where it's just kind of dying, but they're still in there. You're damn, you've been in your job. You've been in marketing for 8 months. We don't have a lot to talk about. So Pep, what would you say is the hardest thing about doing a successful B2B event?
The hardest part is always selling tickets. The logistics of an event is not hard. Yeah. Coming up with cool ideas and executing them, not that hard. Selling tickets. And every year I'm next year it's going to be so much easier. All the positive word of mouth. No, every year it's so hard because events are also extremely competitive. So many events. And your average person goes to 1-2 conferences a year. And so last year I went to that one. So I'll try something new this year. So you don't have the return attendees every year unless it's a must-have for your industry, SaaStr. I got to be at SaaStr if I'm in SaaS, that's the mandatory one. And then I'll go to some esoteric ones like Spring or something,
So what's the current strategy with selling tickets, or have you seen success from selling tickets? Just word of mouth from your LinkedIn? Is that where most people are coming from? Or
It's always the email list and the social, so if it's like any other marketing channel, you're marketing something, it's a product, it's not free. I guess events that have a huge amount of sponsors, we're talking about big events like SaaStr or SaaStock or one of those where you have 100 sponsors. I guess Pavilion's GTM also had 100 sponsors or something. Well, then they are incentivized also to bring people. Or if Pavilion has an advantage because it's a membership organization, right? The members gather at these events. Otherwise, it's hard. But I think there is a big difference between events that are for profit versus break even is good enough. Because the for-profit events, I feel, is like, well, they're incentivized to spend as little as possible and maximize revenue. So they have 100 booths full of hungry SDRs.
Yep.
We've all been to events where it's like you're trying to talk to somebody and there's nobody to talk to, just these booths with like SDRs and AEs, and then they're like starving for attention because they paid $40K for the booth. Where's the ROI, man? And then they remove coffee and whatever at like random times. Like, where's the food? Where's the drinks? And there's obviously no free beer or like 1 hour happy hour.
Yep.
Versus at Spring, where I don't care about this. Like this year we have 0 booths. We changed it because like we figured out, like we asked people, like, what do you hate the most about events? Number 1, salespeople. Number 2, sponsored booths. Number 3, freezing AC. And 4, not enough food and drink, or like quality of food and drink.
Yep.
And so at Spring, we did away with no more sponsored booths. We do have sponsors, but it's different engagements, like it's like hiring guys like you and record podcast content or something, while everybody's there. We are not allowing salespeople in anymore. So it's a peer-to-peer event, marketers only. You need to apply to buy a ticket. So if we check you out on LinkedIn, if you're sales, can't get in.
You gotta disguise yourself.
Change your LinkedIn profile to marketing. Yeah, that could work if you have that hustle in you. Yeah. Surely you could get away with it. Yeah. And then, we have free open bar starting from 12 noon, and all you can eat. You can order food at any time and, like invest in the user experience.
Yep.
Because the only thing that matters to me is that we're not losing money on the event. Break even is the goal.
Yeah.
So it's really truly a brand play for Wynter then.
Absolutely. Also, I'm inviting my customers there who are interacting with my prospects and word of mouth. Like if I say, hey, buy Wynter, that's not as credible as somebody else. I'm a customer of Wynter, I like it. That's effective. And so obviously I'm trying to market the event towards my ICP profile type of people. Also, at very many events, what you see is like so many attendees, maybe more than half are fractionals, consultants, looking to score business.
Yep.
If you go there to events to meet people, and let's say you're an in-house marketer, you want to meet other in-house marketers. Sponsoring event, want to sell to you the $50K ACV deal, and a 2-person agency is not going to buy that. So what we did is the price for agencies is double. Mm-hmm. So you're like a mini sponsor, which means that not that many agencies will come, and those that do pay up the double price, well, they have more leads now. So to speak, because it's a constant complaint in so many events.
Yep.
Fractional, of course, means unemployed. In between jobs and they're looking, hitting people up. Hey, do you have any job openings? And consultants, of course, want to land business, and of course they should. And I've been a consultant. I've gone to events to land business. Of course, that's how the game is played.
Yep.
And I know this, and then I want to play a different game.
Yeah, you're curating a better experience. I think a lot of marketers I talk to is, I'm not going to name any names, but, some of the conferences out there, with SaaS in the name, and you look at the actual attendees, there's less SaaS than vendors a lot of the times.
Absolutely.
Right? And then that's bad for the sponsors as well, because then it's all the hungry SDRs and A's at the booth are like, hey, let me try and sell to you. Oh, you're a 1-person company.
Yeah. And if it's an 800-person conference, 100 sponsors, each sponsor brings 4 people, half the conference is sponsors. Like crazy.
Yeah.
We had a great time at Spring last year, I think. Yeah, so
I've been pitching you guys like as a sponsor activation, so you might still lend business from us.
We appreciate that. Yeah. We were talking to one company about maybe doing something, but they opted to do something else, which is not a problem at all. But it's cool that you guys are offering your sponsors like creative activations versus just booth. It's like you can do something fun and exciting. And
I think from an organizer standpoint, like if I were a sponsor at Spring, to me that's a bigger value add than here's a booth, go set up your step and repeat in your flyers.
And it even just, I think, is like perception is negative. Like if there's a booth and it's empty and they're like the desperate people sitting there, it's like a negative brand perception. Yep. You're much better off doing something else. And I mean, there is an event where that's acceptable. And, I think like, can you imagine SaaStr without booths? No, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But also you need like 10 to 20,000 attendees
Yeah.
to have that kind of traffic. Like spring is like 200 people, so it's different.
Are you guys? Is anyone bring the puppies again? Are the puppies coming back?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That was a booth activation.
All right, no puppies then. So you had a post go pretty viral. I don't know if this is like viral for you these days, Pep, but you were talking about yesterday how people want to buy from the mascots. You know, if I like Fruit Loops because I like the toucan versus Honey Nut Cheerios. I don't like the bee guy, so I'm going to buy from that. And me and Ding really preach that because Ding's actually our mascot as a sales rapper. He is the mascot of EventShark. So
I'm the CMO, the chief mascot officer.
Oh yeah.
So we definitely agree with you. But what's like maybe just for anyone that didn't see your LinkedIn post, what's your like quick thoughts on that? And
so it's a POV on like the future of B2B marketing. I think we have to look at the B2C markets that are like 20 years ahead on like what's happening. Software companies and also agencies, you know, are trying to compete on features or like objective differentiate. We are better because XYZ. And in every large category, actually all the competitors are basically the same. You know, okay, HubSpot has more integrations than ActiveCampaign, but like they do the same shit essentially.
Yeah.
So that is the fate of every B2B tool, that if you do something interesting that the market wants, the competitors will get to that level. So any objective advantage you have, product advantage, like innovation, it's a transient advantage. Like ChatGPT launched, oh my God, this is the bee's knees. Well, now Claude, Gemini, everybody, it's the same shit. Like DeepSeek, small differences, but very subtle, right? Like you need to be a category connoisseur to appreciate those differences. Your average user is like, okay, it's same shit, right?
Yeah.
So if this is true, so I think differentiation is not possible long term. So you need to compete on brand, which is distinction. And distinction is, you know, your visual appearance, you know, colors and shit like that. But color is a poor, anybody can be yellow or red, right? Like it's hard. So in B2C, companies have mascots, right? You know, like the Geico has the gecko and so on and so forth. And so in B2B, where purchases are more considered, especially if we're talking about like a mid-market enterprise tools. If it's a $50,000 a year purchase, it's not like an impulse purchase. And if it's a serious cybersecurity software, I'm not going to buy from a lizard. Like, I don't think it's going to do it. So instead, and then there's so many cybersecurity tools out there, but if one of them has a credible expert that is everywhere talking about the challenges of the industry, that guy builds up credibility. It's like, well, that guy knows what he's talking about. I'm going to just buy from him, you know, because I like him, respect him. And so it's going to be about this personalities, I think, rather than, you know, lizards. And also, if we think about non-human mascots, in B2B, who even has some? You know, okay, Salesforce has a thing that they're pushing. The Dreamforce conference features it. It has a name. I don't even recall what it's called. No. Mutiny has that raccoon that they sometimes they push it, and sometimes the reason they have
they've kind of pulled back on that.
Yeah. Like they had a attempt. But maybe it just didn't resonate, or like probably also change in marketing leadership is like some people believe in it and some don't.
They should have tested it on Wynter.
And so I think like in the end, we're going to be like competing TV shows, you know, like we all feature jokes and guests and whatever. There's no difference. It's like, who's the host and do I like that person? You know, Jimmy Fallon versus Stephen Colbert. You know, both funny guys, and we like to watch these guys because they're charming, right? But they are not writing the jokes. They are not booking the guests. They're not. There's an army behind the scenes. What was it that for Jimmy Fallon's show? Like when he starts the show, there's like 5 minutes of his reading jokes or something, right?
Yeah.
And there's a staff of 10 writers who each write 100 jokes a day. And most of them go straight to the dumpster. And like the 10 best out of the 1,000 jokes go on air. And that's every day.
Sounds like Fallon needs to buy Wynter.
Hey, don't steal my joke.
And so if you think about it through that lens, okay, we need to build up our own personality inside a company, and there needs to be a team that supports that person. Because like it cannot be that everybody has a Chris Walker who's just smart and has original ideas all day long. Nobody has original ideas for every single day. You know, like you need to, of course, rinse and repeat, but you need help. You need like a lot of like back office help, especially if you want to have a distribution advantage. It'd be like Gary Vee. I don't know if he's still around. Like, he probably is still around.
He's around. I think his spiritual successor, I would say, probably Hormozy. And then he's got a crazy big team around him, right? And Layla as well. And I think that's especially true because, you know, this concept that we're talking about, having a personality, right? Or almost building like a cult of personality around a subject matter expert or a thought leader in the industry. It's often those same people that are founders or executive operators that have limited bandwidth to be a creator, right? And we hear this all the time from founders like, oh, I'm too busy to make content. I have to work on the product and do this and meet with customers. And then, you know, it's a double-edged sword because to your point earlier, it's not enough to be differentiated in the market because that's not going to exist very soon, right? You look at where AI is going, the moat of having a product differentiator is shrinking by the day. It's so easy to build new features now. The development costs are shrinking so quickly, right? In 5-10 years, you know, everything would be no code, vibe coding. So really the way to win, you know, to your point, is the trust and authority and likability.
Correct. And of course, not every company is going to have charming people inside a company who also want to be public, you know, introverted nerds and awkward people. And, you know, so those companies, I think, need to figure out either you hire a talent that you're going to put on, the hired talent might also leave and take the cloud to the next
That's the whole
company.
problem, right? If you invest all this money into a talent, they leave. So that's why a lot of people do the founder, because they're probably not going to leave unless they get an
Founders are most likely to stay, absolutely, yeah. And then there's also independent creators, right? Like that you can rent, you can sponsor. And of course, it's not like, hey, you're going to do a sponsored ad in your newsletter, you know, that won't do shit. But like long-term commitment, I'm going to bet on this creator that for the next 3 years, and it's going to be native advertising. It's not like, and now let's hear from our sponsor. No, like you're casually integrating it into your thing. You don't control many things. You don't control what they're still a third party, you know, so it's a riskier move. And of course, you can do both.
Yeah, I think a big challenge for that, anytime companies try something new on the B2B side for anything marketing, there's always that challenge of how quickly can we get a win from that. But I think, unfortunately, in this case, we've been in the game a long time, kind of, you know, being public, building our brand. So we benefit a lot from that now, right?
Absolutely.
But for a company to, especially a homegrown creator, if they're not renting someone with an existing audience or they're trying to build up a founder's brand, that it could be a 6 month to a year project before they see
a year minimum, yeah. Year of great effort and solid content.
Yeah.
Because also, you don't know what content is going to resonate. Like, you need a lot of reps to get a sense what tends to work. I have had so many ideas. Oh, my God, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to slay. And it's like, wah, wah, wah. Like, you learn, and and you need to put in reps. If you just do a mastermind behind the scene, and we prepare for 3 months, like all the great content we're going to create, like, it might all flop and you're going to waste your money. So, like, most of marketers are so focused on performance marketing measurement, ROI on ads, like ROAS and all that stuff. Most attribution software is just purely that. And so if we look at all the brand marketing, like the point of brand marketing is to get into more consideration sets. So like research shows that if I'm looking for the next attribution software, whatever CRM, how I'm going to decide which tools I'm going to look into is, A, like who's top of mind? Like, and that's usually like 3 to 5. And then I'm going to ask my peers, hey, who are you using? Right. And so that's the initial consideration set. And if you're not in that first consideration set of like 8 to 10 tools in a category of 500 tools, game's over before it started.
Yep.
So that's what you need to measure. How many consideration sets are we a part of? If, we're looking for a podcasting event management agency, like who's top of mind? And then we need to track progress quarter over quarter, year over year. Are we getting into more consideration sets? So that's brand awareness. And second is the brand preference. So out of these 5 tools, who I think is the best suited for me, or who's my favorite? So you need to cultivate brand awareness, brand preference, and ideally, brand is also, how do we define brand? Brand is what they say you are, right? Not what you say you are. Mm-hmm. And so you also want to measure, what do they say you are? And is that aligned with how we want to come across? And all of these things are qualitative. So that means that the brand marketing measurement methodology also needs to, not to change, like B2C has been doing this forever. Survey-based research methodology where you survey the category buyers and you ask them, hey, who's top of mind? Who's your preferred vendor for this? And what do you think about this brand?
In hip hop, we would say you just drop some bars.
And so if we assume this is true, and there's a chance that it might not be, and it's all going to be brand focused, and the ultimate competitive advantage or moat is going to be brand. I mean, if companies assume that this is the truth, they're going to invest differently. Sadly, we just surveyed with Wynter B2B SaaS CMOs and CFOs separately, like at 50 million plus companies. And one of the questions we asked was, what kind of marketing initiative would get an instant yes from you? Like as a CMO and as a CFO, like what would you approve? And the number one is more pipeline tomorrow. Like it's performance marketing. What are you most likely to cut? Brand marketing. It's not more pipeline tomorrow. Hence, why do we need this?
Yeah.
And I think Hockey Stack had this study they published on LinkedIn where it was most like SaaS companies cut their marketing budget every year or something. And what is getting cut is brand marketing. And so if we think about it, it's like brand marketing is pipeline next year, 2 years from now. So if you keep cutting that, no wonder your marketing budget is shrinking, right? Those things are related. And so that is, I think, the big challenge of like the CFOs and the revenue officers and all those guys need to have a longer mindset. And like you've built up your audience on LinkedIn and elsewhere, and it wasn't more pipeline tomorrow.
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, I remember you tweeting on Twitter like, "Oh shit, I'm broke."
Yeah.
and then and it takes time. And you have that mind, that's brand marketing, right? Like you build up audience and goodwill and relationships and all that stuff, and then you start reaping the rewards.
Yeah. So, not every marketer out there, I think, had the luxury of, just kind of staying in the game the way I was doing, as a solopreneur and then with the agency. So what would your advice be, for a marketer, that's in that situation right now where their brand marketing budget is getting slashed? Like, how can you metaphorically do more with less in that situation?
Well, I don't know if you can do more with less. I mean, posting content is still free, right? In a way, for now. So you can always do that and allocate time to create content. But I think like to make more budget available for brand marketing, you need to start measuring it. Because the classic adage, like you can only improve what you measure. So what are we measuring? Is like, are we getting into more consideration sets? Are more of our ICPs aware of us? Are we increasing preference for our brand? And how is the brand perception evolving over time, quarter over quarter, year over year? Whatever cadence fits your budget. And so if you report that back to the leadership, and we're gonna like have these as metrics. Now it's like, okay, like our marketing efforts, all the the podcast and whatever we did last quarter. See, brand awareness has increased 10% or something. Well, that's progress, right? It's never going to be from zero to unicorn. It's going to be slowly, poco a poco.
Yeah. Of the different metrics here, like what are some of your favorite indicators that there is growth on the brand side?
The easiest thing to do, of course, you measure your brand keyword search volume, right? Using SEMrush or one of those, right? But that gives you very little. Gives you very little qualitative information about the why and what do they think about you.
Yeah.
It might, and also like, let's say your brand name is whatever. Oakville or something, and then there's a pedophile Oakville, and all the news is about you don't know if they're searching for you or they're pedophile online, right?
Yeah,
like
better name that.
It's just it can get messy, this keyword search tracking, search volume tracking. So if you do a survey based in B2C, the standard is like you survey 800 people to get a representative sample of the market. But of course, this is when you're selling jeans. And the total market of people who buy jeans, like the whole planet, right? Yeah. Everybody. in B2B, if you sell cybersecurity software, well, what's your TAM? You know, like maybe 1,000 companies, right?
Yep.
So then if you survey 100 people, that's 10% of the market, way more than 800 people would be in the pants market, right?
Yep.
So it is actually good enough representation of the target market in B2B. And doing a 100-person survey with, you know, your exact titles that are, you know, your target buyers, you know, it's like plus minus 10% margin of error there. And so if you do 200, it goes less. For directional improvement is good enough. So if this year, 10% we're aware, and next year, 20%, we're directionally moving in the right direction. So that's good enough. It's working. And then most B2B brands, people don't have opinions about B2B brands other than, yeah, they do, like Ahrefs. Okay, they do, it's an SEO software. What do you think about it? Well, I don't know, nothing. I don't think about them at all. And suddenly then, and next year maybe they'll have an opinion about it. Yeah. Oh, I like them because they have a great podcast or whatever, So that's what you want to track.
Yeah. I think what stood out to me was you're talking about qualitative measurement versus quantitative measurement.
Well,
right?
both.
Right.
Both. Like, you do want to know what percentage of the target market is like aware of my brand.
Yeah.
And you do aided and unaided recall. Unaided recall is you want to do market research, which brands come to mind, and see what they say, like if your brand is mentioned. So that's unaided. And aided recall is here's a list of brands. Which of these have you heard of? And then which one of these is your most preferred brand to solve this problem? And those are like quant metrics. And qualitative is like what's your opinion about this brand.
So me and Ding, this is our second year at EventShark. You have multiple businesses. You've grown, and so what kind of entrepreneurial advice do you have? Your podcast is called How to Win. What's some ways that any entrepreneurs or founders out there, how would you tell them to win?
The most important thing is the offer to the market. Don't think about anything else. Well, and size of the market. How many people out there, companies out there need this? And you want to go as big as possible. And like the offer is like what problem do you solve? And if you solve a hot, urgent, big problem, it's so much easier to make money. In 2008-09, I was building this SaaS company. 2 years, sweat equity and just fucking nothing. Like, I think we never got past like 10,000 monthly revenue. And then I was like, okay, abandoning it, studied the next company, CXL, and I think we hit $1 million in revenue and it was an agency back then. I think we did $1 million in 3 years in revenue. And then when we launched the CXL, the e-learning business, we did $1 million in year one. It's like some things are just, the market wants some products more than others. And if you look at, like the high growth companies out there, like that are reporting crazy growth, you have to look at which problem are they solving? And all of them are solving a hot problem. You can't do outbound sales for a nice to have problem. Very difficult, if not impossible. So those are the things I would think about. And obviously margins, agency people need to figure out how to incubate something else on the side while paying for it with agency profits.
Yeah, I think that's a long-term vision for us as well. Personally, relate a lot to the TAM and the offer problem, right? Because I was doing sales wrapping thing full time, but very small TAM, and then it's a nice to have, and for a lot of companies, right?
Yeah.
And then now moving to more of a video model, and the time market is perfect right now because outbound's getting harder and harder, right? And companies are scrambling to find new ways to generate pipeline. So we're really benefiting right now because everyone needs this.
Yep.
And I think that's a very, very solid insight.
What's the current state of blog posts, though? I know you used to be a big blogger.
I used to be, but
you said what's her face has a big blog. And
Elena Verna, yeah, she has a Substack, like an email newsletter, and a blog that does like 400,000 organic a month or something. And I started in 2011 in blogging, and within 1 year I had 100,000 monthly readers, and and so on and so forth. But I think somewhere close to COVID, LinkedIn took over as the meeting place on the internet. Like, how often do you guys seek out somebody's blog just to go see what's new?
It's interesting because I think LinkedIn, social media, and all of that, we went from a walled garden format of content, right, where you had to go seek it out. Because I remember back in the day, like I'd be on forums, and now you don't really see those types of sites anymore. But that was like a huge place for advertisers. It was huge for organic content and like niche communities. And then now it's kind of almost come full circle where, because the platforms, like, you know, everything's rented on the platforms, like people want their own communities again. So we're kind of going back to that.
Yeah. I used to go to these sites like All Top that were like pulled in RSS feeds from various blogs, and you would see, oh, who has posted something new?
Yeah.
So that's how we use LinkedIn today. Like you go and see what's new, right?
Yep.
And it's been years since I went to somebody's blog to just see what they're talking about.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, like I'd have so many blogs bookmarked, right? And I'd go check manually. Oh, did they refresh? Did they refresh? It's almost like rappers, like you're seeing if they have albums dropping. Now it's on Spotify. You just see when they come out.
It's kind of, we've killed some magic. Now it's...
What's the state after LinkedIn? Ding, you were saying like people are started with blogs off channel, but then now people are like, you can't be so reliant on the
platform. Well, we're already seeing like how LinkedIn is killing organic reach for people. It's been dropping. Everybody's complaining. I'm complaining.
Yeah, Ding complains
once
a week about
promote button is coming, right?
Yep.
You can boost your shit. You know, that's like what Facebook did, and Facebook used to be content of your buddies, right? And now it's not anymore. Now it's like a random crap. As soon as LinkedIn goes there, we're back to like, hey, here's my blog, subscribe. RSS feeds, yo.
The LinkedIn, the influencer ads, I think it kind of disrupted the whole organic model. Because you look at Microsoft, you look at LinkedIn, it's like they need to increase their revenue through that product too. So just like Facebook in like the mid tens, right? Here's free, everyone, go make content, we'll give you a bunch of boosts, get people hooked on the dopamine, and then and now they get it. Like, okay, you got to pay now. And then Meta made so much money off ads doing that. I just say the same thing.
But LinkedIn already has a business model, the HR tools, the recruitment tools, and Sales Navigator, and ads. Why do you have to also monetize the fuck out of organic content? Like they don't have to.
It's almost diametrically opposed because the more ads they have in the platform, it's a worse content product for the end user. And then the worse content product for the end user, that has a negative impact on the HR and the sales nav, and then, which is interesting because the timing of this conversation, you look at certain lead gen data companies and the LinkedIn terms of service, you see where that direction's going.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Well, everybody wants to make money, and I think somebody has probably written books about the cyclical nature of this, how the social networks kill themselves because they over monetize or whatever.
It's going to happen to every platform. We're just at a TikTok event 2 days ago. They're pushing ads heavy. If you try and do organically on TikTok, it's so much more difficult if you're not paying. So LinkedIn's definitely already starting to do that. And
yeah.
So Jake and I are, we're big fitness guys. We love working out. We know.
Same.
Yeah, we can tell, man. The winter bulk has gone well. Arms looking yoked.
Appreciate it.
But I always like to ask, because you're a founder, a successful business owner, and I'm sure you're a very busy guy. Right, but fitness is a priority for you. So how do you balance that and make enough time to stay in the gym and stay working out?
I also have 2 kids and a wife and a dog and 2 cats. So like, okay, we have 24 hours a day. And if you're into fitness, okay, like sleep, you can't sacrifice. You need 8 hours, right? Okay, so that's gone. Work, I never overwork. 8 hours a day, sometimes 7. Because also, I pick up kids from school. That's like my work is over. Like there's a hard deadline every day. Work needs to be done by 3 because 3:30 is school pickup. And then, hang out with the kids and make dinner. And then kids go to bed and then, want to spend time with the missus and, take care of the relationship and the marriage. And then fitness and then friends and socializing. And where do you, something's got to go.
Yeah.
So I usually try to merge some stuff. So meeting up with friends, instead of going have a beer, we go to the gym together. My son is now 14. He's into getting, swole. So father-son time is in the gym lifting weights. So again, I'm merging 2 things. If need be, I actually work an hour less just to get a workout in because I'm thinking it's a long-term investment in my mental agility and like
Yeah.
how I feel in my body. I never sacrifice sleep, and I if I can avoid it, I don't sacrifice time with the wife.
What's your like your typical workout look like?
Upper body day, lower body day. I lift weights. That's my split. I try to get four workouts in a week.
What's your favorite movement? Or let's say, what's your favorite muscle group to train? What's your least favorite?
I think bench press is my favorite, followed by pull-ups. Least favorite, squats, because they hurt.
Squats are brutal. No one likes
But like
legs.
you got to do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah.
It keeps your testosterone high, and then it builds a solid foundation so that you can bench more and press more.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of look like you do MMA. You don't do any MMA?
I used to be a kickboxer,
Okay,
but
there we go.
my shoulders gave up. I'm getting old. Keeping my arms up, like shoulder pain developed. I saw a bunch of doctors, don't know why, but so no more boxing for me.
Well, is that like a big sport in Estonia? Is kickboxing, or what do they do?
I did it
Okay.
here in Austin,
Okay.
so I'm not really sure what the scene is in Estonia.
Okay.
We covered a lot of ground, I
Yeah.
feel. Yeah,
It was
invest
good.
in brand, people.
That's right.
You heard it here first. All right, Pep. I always like to end with a little challenge. I'm sure maybe you've seen my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 videos.
Oh, I have.
So I always like to do. This is interesting because people have seen the videos, but they've never seen how it gets done. So I always like to make these personalized to
Okay, right on.
the person that is doing the challenge. So right now, live on the podcast, this was unplanned, but we're gonna script one out so you guys can get a behind the scenes look into how these challenges are written. So I have my notepad open right here, and then I literally write down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna ask you to name 5 things in a category, 4 things in a category, 3 things, 2 things, 1 thing.
Okay.
So in my system for it is 5. That one's the most broad, right? So we want to start with something that will hook people and be relatable to the most amount of people. 5 and 3 are business related. 5, 3, and 1. The odd numbers are business related. 4 and 2 are individual related interest, hobbies, personality type stuff. I think what I'll do for you for 4 is name 4 exercises that train your chest. So start thinking. Thinking of those, and then 5. Since we covered, we talked about events and brand marketing. Jake, you
Top 5 events you've been to.
Spring. That's the
Doesn't
right
have to be
answer.
B2B.
Jake, that's the right
Doesn't have to
answer.
be B2B. It could be a music festival, or it could be I don't know, whatever fun events you go to.
Yeah.
Putting you on the spot here a little bit.
Okay.
Here, since we talked
They
about
have a
this
hard
earlier.
stop. They have a hard stop in 2 minutes as well.
Yeah, all good. 3 ways to measure brand marketing, right? I think that fits our conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is why you listen to the podcast. You get the sauce live.
2 of your favorite books. You like that one, Ding?
Yeah, I like that one.
Number 1 way to.
Number 1, B2B marketing conference in the world.
Woohoo!
All right, cool.
Disaster.
All right, Ding, do it.
What did we say 5 was?
Favorite events.
Okay.
Top 5 events.
I kind of want to do a different one.
You can do a different one.
Okay, let me think about this. The first one's always the hardest one. The rest come easy, because this is the hook.
Is it a business one or a fun one?
It's because these go on LinkedIn, so it's got to be a little businessy. About 5 ways B2B marketing has changed since you got in the game.
Oh shit, that's hard.
Okay.
I can try, but
No. Let's not do a hard one. Let's make this easy. This is see. I need Jimmy Fallon's writers.
Why don't we just start with 4? 4. That does not.
4, 3, 2. I don't think it works like that.
5 ways to. I don't know.
Oh, okay, 5 things a good B2B event has.
All right, perfect.
Like that.
5 what?
5 qualities of a good B2B event.
Oh yeah, sure. That's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, Pep. Let's do this thing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 challenge with Peep Laja. Pep, name 5 qualities of a great B2B event.
No salespeople. Lots of food. Plenty of drink. No cold AC. And it's focused on people, not presentations.
Love that. Now give me 4 exercises that train your chest muscle.
Bench press, pec flies, dips as a secondary thing, incline bench press, decline bench press.
There you go. Got an extra one. Let's go. Name 3 ways that marketers can measure brand marketing.
You do share of search, how many people are searching for your brand versus competitors. Brand awareness surveys, what percentage of your target market is aware of your brand, and brand preference surveys, like what percentage of the market prefers your brand.
Boom, boom, boom. Now, give me 2 of your favorite books.
The Road Less Stupid, great for entrepreneurs, my absolute favorite. And second one, I would say Amp It Up. Yeah, it's about how to do more faster.
Definitely got to check those out. And finally, what's the #1 conference for B2B marketers?
Spring!
Woo! See y'all in Austin. Get a ticket now.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.